All right, let's dive into one of the most incredible stories ever told, the Book of Exodus. This is the epic account of God's power to rescue his people from slavery, and not just to rescue them, but to form them into a nation, a people bound to him. We're going to explore this foundational story of deliverance and what it means for God to dwell with us.
The whole story kicks off, not with some human plan, not with a committee meeting, but with this powerful declaration straight from the heart of God. And this, right here, sets the theme for everything that's about to happen. It tells us that God sees, he hears, and he is a God who comes down to rescue. That's the core of it all.
Okay, so our journey starts in a really dark place, in the depths of suffering. We're going to see how a desperate cry from earth gets a powerful answer from heaven. This is the incredible story of moving from slavery to salvation.
Just try to put yourself there for a second. We're talking about generations, 400 years of brutal, soul-crushing slavery. Hope? That was probably a forgotten word. These are the people of God's promise, and they're being ground into the dust by the most powerful empire in the world. Their entire identity is just evaporating. It's from this place, this pit of utter hopelessness, that God is about to do something absolutely spectacular.
And get this, who does God choose to lead this mission? Is it a powerful king? A brilliant general? Nope. He picks a shepherd, a fugitive actually, a guy named Moses who's out in the middle of nowhere, and God speaks to him from a burning bush, a bush that's on fire but doesn't burn up. He calls this humble, kind of hesitant guy to be the one to free his people. It just goes to show, right? The power isn't in the person, it's in the God who sends them.
All right, now we get to the showdown. This is where the God of a bunch of slaves goes head-to-head with all the so-called gods of the mighty Egyptian empire. The command is simple, but the fallout? It's going to shake the world to its core. Let my people go.
So God unleashes this relentless series of 10 plagues. And you got to understand, these weren't just random disasters. Oh no, each one was a direct shot at the power structures and the gods of Egypt. Think about it. When God turns the Nile River into blood, he's basically declaring victory over Hapi, their river god. Each plague is a targeted takedown, and with every single one, we see Pharaoh's heart getting harder and harder, which just sets the stage for the final, most devastating plague of all.
And that brings us to the 10th plague and the very first Passover. This is a night where judgment and mercy collide in the most incredible way. For the Egyptians, it's a night of absolute terror. But for the Israelites, it's a night of salvation. And how are they saved? By the blood of a lamb painted on their doors, an innocent substitute. This becomes the central symbol of redemption through sacrifice, and it echoes all the way through the Bible.
Okay, this is it, the climax. The Israelites are finally out of Egypt. But wait, they're trapped. The Red Sea is in front of them, and Pharaoh's entire army is thundering down behind them. It's a dead end. There's no way out. But for God, no way isn't in his vocabulary. He literally parts the sea, an act of pure creation power, and leads them through on dry ground. And then the waters crash back down, swallowing their enemies whole. Wow. Just wow. Their freedom is officially sealed.
So you might think the story's over, right? They're free! But getting them out of Egypt was just the first step. Now, God is to get Egypt out of them. The story takes a big turn here, from physical rescue to spiritual formation. God has just rescued a chaotic mob of slaves, and now he's going to shape them into a holy community.
Now, before we jump into the 10 Commandments, we've got to wrap our heads around this key idea, covenant. And listen, this is way more than just a contract. It's a deep, sacred, binding relationship. And the amazing part is, God is the one who starts it. He sets the terms. He basically says, I'm choosing you. I will be your God, and you will be my people. This covenant becomes the absolute bedrock of their new identity.
So this brings up a huge question, right? If you're not slaves to Pharaoh anymore, what does it actually mean to live as servants of God? If you're going to be a holy nation, a kingdom of priests, what does that even look like day to day? What's the blueprint for a community that belongs entirely to him?
Well, the answer starts with this number, 10. 10 foundational commands spoken by the voice of God himself from the fire and smoke of Mount Sinai.
These 10 Commandments, they're basically the constitution for this new nation. They're the moral heartbeat of the whole covenant. And they're brilliant, really. The first 4 are all about their relationship with God, the vertical stuff. How to love and worship him. Then the next 6 are about their relationships with each other, the horizontal stuff, how to build a just and caring community. This law would shape everything about them,
but it would also show them again and again how much they needed God's grace.
Okay, on to the final act of Exodus. And this deals with maybe the biggest problem of all. How can a perfectly holy God actually live among a messy, sinful, rebellious group of people? I mean, how do you bridge that gap between a holy God and unholy people?
So, picture this. While Moses is up on the mountain receiving the law from God, what are the people doing down below? They're breaking the very first 2 commandments. They build a golden calf to worship. It's just a shocking betrayal. But here's the amazing part. Look at God's response. Does he wipe them out? Nope. He shows incredible mercy. He provides a solution, the tabernacle. It's a way for him to live right there in the middle of them, safely. The tabernacle. It was this beautiful, intricate, grace-filled solution. Every single detail, from the curtains to the altar, was a roadmap. It was a blueprint showing sinful people how they could approach a holy God. It was a visible, tangible sign that said, I am here with you. And of course, it was all a shadow, a sneak peek, pointing forward to a greater reality, a greater priest, and a perfect sacrifice that was still to come. And this is the climax of the entire book. It's just breathtaking. After everything, the slavery, the plagues, the rebellion, all the construction, God's promise comes true. His very presence, his glory, comes down like a cloud and fills the tabernacle. And that's when you realize the whole point wasn't just getting Israel out of Egypt. The point was getting God into Israel, to dwell right there with his people.
So, after all that, what are the big takeaways from this incredible journey? Let's wrap this up by looking at the timeless lessons from the wilderness and what this path of redemption means for us today.
You know, this verse says it all. It's from a song they sang right after the Red Sea miracle, and it just perfectly captures the whole story. It's God's love that kicks the whole thing off, and it's his strength that carries his people all the way home to him. From start to finish, the whole journey is completely, 100% dependent on God. When you boil it all down, Exodus really sets the stage for the rest of the Bible. It shows us that our God hears the oppressed and is a God of liberation. It teaches us that real freedom isn't just being free from something, it's being free for a relationship with God. That Passover lamb, it's a huge pointer to Jesus, the ultimate sacrifice. And maybe the biggest truth of all, God's deepest desire is simply to live with his people, to be among us.
See, the story of Exodus, it isn't just some ancient history lesson. It reveals the very heart of God, a God who rescues people for one primary reason, so he can be close to them. So that leaves us with a question to really think about. If God went to all that trouble to dwell with his people, how are we today making room for his presence in our own lives?